Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A lot of newcomers that came from the Brandon Tatum YouTube channel. I appreciate that you guys are here. Welcome to my channel. If you missed the interview with Brandon, go ahead and check it out below. I'll make sure I have links so that you can watch that in its entirety. We go over a lot of different things in modern law enforcement, the Floyd case, amongst many others. The reason that I wanted to make this quick video is because I want to talk about not justified versus unjustified in terms of law enforcement encounters or in terms of self-defense encounters, but I want to touch on perception versus reality. I had a good friend of mine that we talk often on social media, and he often is on one side of issues and I'm often on the other. And we have very good educated discussions on different topics. Well, obviously he's a little agitated with what's going on in the world today, and he sent me a video, and immediately I watched it and I was like, wow, that's pretty intense. I'm not really sure what happened there. And he was angry about it, and he said, hey, look at these cops moving this homeless man off the bench and end up killing him. Some of you might know it's not a new case. It's actually a little bit older, and I won't speak to the justification or unjustification of the video. I'll let grand jury and the agency and the populace of that city determine that. What I want to talk about is the perception of what happened and the reality of what happened. First, I'm going to show you the video. I'm going to let you let that sink in for a minute, and then we're going to discuss it.
Subject! Both hands up in the air. Show them clear. Put your hands in the air. Do it now. You need to keep those hands in the air. Keep your hands where we can see them. Lay on your stomach. Keep your hands away from your waistband. Lay on your stomach, or force will be used against you. Lay on your stomach. Keep your hands up. If you put your hands towards your waistband, force will be used against you. Lay on your stomach.
Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Lay down.
Okay, now that you've seen the video, what do you think? Unjustified, justified, monstrous, militaristic? Okay, so now that you have your initial perceptions of what you feel in that particular video, I want to give you the entire picture and see if it changes your mind. Okay, so now let's look at the reality of the situation. What is the perception of the situation? Numerous cops, 4, maybe 5 cops, walk up to what looks to be a homeless man on a bus bench and line up single file, or shoulder to shoulder, not single file, shoulder to shoulder, and essentially it looks like a firing squad in the shadows. And what happens? He ends up getting shot. I cut the actual shooting short. We don't need to see that here. You're not here for gruesomeness. You're here for information. So that's what it looks like. That's the perception of it. And even me watching it the first time, I didn't have sound, so I didn't really hear what they were saying. I've since, obviously, after getting details and looking up the information on this case, I went back and got more information and then watched it again with sound. And so let's walk through it a little bit. What you don't know at this point in the video is there is several 911 callers that have called on a man. The 911 callers are saying there's a deranged man with a handgun, pointing it at everybody in traffic, cocking it and then pointing it at people and yelling and screaming and carrying on traffic. As you can see here, if you follow my mouse, this is what looks to be an incredibly busy, which I didn't even notice the first time I watched it. This appears to be an incredibly busy intersection. Well, what this is a entrance to a Walmart. And as we all know, Walmarts are very busy, right? So as they're walking up, they're discussing like, hey man, let's figure out how we can get to this guy fast and kind of get this situation resolved. If you look, you missed it right here where my mouse, you can't even see my mouse. But essentially there was an orange 40 millimeter launcher that guy was carrying. So what you don't know, they're interviewed later. Hey, why did you handle it the way you did? Why did you stand shoulder to shoulder like you did? And they said, well, essentially this guy's got a gun. He's acting deranged. He's acting crazy. He's very irritable. And we don't want him to shoot at us and us get into essentially a gunfight with this guy. And he misses us and it goes into traffic and hits somebody else. For whatever reason, they didn't block this traffic off. I'm not sure if it's because, I don't know. I would think that they would try to block the traffic off before they did this, but I'm not there. I'm not them. So I'm not going to second guess their decision. But they essentially decide they're going to make a barrier between them and the traffic behind so that if they get into an encounter with him and he pulls the gun and starts shooting, they're obviously going to shoot back. And that guy, if he misses, it's going to hit them and not go into the traffic behind him. At least that's the article I read when they interviewed the cops that were there. So let's fast forward. Now that you know that, you know why they're being called. Deranged man with a gun. At least that's what 911 is saying. Several callers. Very, very, very busy area. A Walmart right next to traffic. Lots of traffic going in and out. So here they are. They're going to approach him now. Meanwhile, they have, I believe, 4 guys have rifles and 1 guy has a 40 millimeter launcher, which is essentially a racquetball that goes really, really fast to subdue people, right? So look at this. You can see, look at all this traffic right here, right? Tons of traffic. I don't know if this is the Walmart. I'll have to look up a little bit more about the map. But essentially, there's a Walmart here. This looks like a major road. Doesn't look like the entrance to the Walmart, so maybe the entrance is down here. Anyway, here's the guy on the bus stop. So look at him. You can see it. Well, my camera's in the way here. Watch. Let me move that over for you. You can see the line forming right here. And this is the line they're saying, hey, we wanted to form a line.
Subject!
So 1, 2, this looks like the 40 guy right here in the end. 1, 2, 3 firearms. Maybe 4. There might be another one down here. And then obviously the body camera. So what you may not see the original time, and I didn't see it the first time either, and I didn't hear them talking about it because I didn't have the sound on. But we're going to hear them say in about a minute, a lot of them, one guy's giving commands, and a couple of the other guys are talking to each other. Hey, do you see the gun in his waistband? Yeah, I see it in his waistband. Do you see it? Yeah, I see it. And they're talking to each other about the gun in his waistband. At that point, the guy says, hey, listen, don't go for your waistband. Force will be used against you. If you go to your waistband, force will be used against you.
Put your hands in the air. Do it now. You need to keep those hands in the air.
Keep your hands in the air.
Keep your hands where we can see them.
You see him?
Lay on your stomach.
Hey, do you see it in his waistband? Yeah, I see it in his waistband.
So his machine
Don't go to your waistband.
Lay on your
Because
stomach.
they see the gun. They see the gun in his waistband.
fuck you. Shoot me.
Obviously, he doesn't
Lay on your
care.
stomach. Keep your hands up. If you put your hands towards your waistband, force will be used against you. Lay on your
Because
stomach.
they all see the gun now. They've been told, some see it, some have told the other guys, hey, it's right there. They see it now. Gets up on the bench. Right there. Okay? Right there. He goes to grab his shirt with one hand, and what looks to be with his other hand, he goes to grab the gun. Okay? I won't show the rest of it. I'll show the rest of the video. We don't need to see the man pass away. He eventually passes away. They all shoot. Now, I don't know. The one guy shoots the 40. That's what you hear in the video. That's where I cut it out. I don't know if the others shoot as a sympathetic response or are they shooting as a result of him going for the gun. I have no idea. I'll look into that further after I'm done making this video. hey, listen, man, the guy looks like he's, homeless. He actually looks like maybe he's under the influence of something. He's a older gentleman. I think it said he was 57. Older, I shouldn't say older. That's actually not very old. Older than me. He looks troubled, man. He looks like he wants to go out. So the other part that you don't know, okay, 911 call, crazed man with a gun, several 911 calls. They get there, busy intersection. Hey, we got to make sure if we get into an engagement with this guy and he misses, nobody gets hit behind us. Um, the other stuff that you don't know and they didn't know at the time was they don't know who this guy is. Well, it turns out he had been arrested several times for wielding an axe at people, shooting at people with a BB gun. Spoiler alert, the gun that he had ended up being a BB gun. Now, they didn't know that. The 911 callers didn't know that. And you can't have reactions based off of what it ends up being. It has to be off of what it is or what you believe it to be. And so it was a BB gun that resembled a 9mm pistol. Um, so that's it. So again, I won't go into the justification or unjustification. You can do research on your own and find out what happened to these guys, or what you believe should have happened to these guys. But all I want to show you is that the perception of what you thought happened and the information you had readily available with the initial showing of the video, and then the reality of what was going on inside, a little bit inside to what the cops were thinking, and the totality of all the information you have now, does it change your mind about what you saw initially? I would venture to say that most people would have a different opinion, whether they still think it's unjustified and they thought it was unjustified at the beginning, or they thought it was justified at the beginning and they still think it's justified. Your mindset should change a little bit based off of the information that I gave you on this particular video versus what you had initially when you watched it. So just something to think about when you initially see videos that people send you, or maybe it's nobody sent it to you and you saw it online, and it's a defense encounter, meaning somebody's defending themselves with a firearm versus somebody else that's trying to hurt them, or whether it's a cop that is using force against somebody, and you see just a small snippet of a video, unlike the George Floyd case where it's a very long video and you can clearly see what's going on in that video, right? Could there be extenuating circumstances outside of that video when you initially saw it that changed it slightly? Maybe, but you still knew within that entire video, like, hey, this is wrong. Is there other things that change it ever so slightly? Yes, but nothing can change it to make it not wrong. Does that make sense? Other videos, in most cases, most videos people send me and say, look at this. I watch them and I'm like, okay, wow. I do some research. I look into the video. I try to get articles from both sides, the cop's point of view, other points of view, all the information you can possibly get. And it usually like, oh, that makes more sense. This is a prime example. Okay. Prayers are with that guy and his family. Prayers are with all the cops that had to deal with this incident. Prayers with all the cops that are dealing with all sorts of incidents right now. Rioters, protests. It's crazy right now. The last thing I will leave you with is this. If you're in law enforcement and you are in brass or you're just a regular cop, I encourage you to take videos like this and others that you see, whether justified or unjustified, and learn from them. Take everything from them and learn. Make it better. Well, it's justified. It's justified. No big deal. When you watch a video and then you ignore it because it was justified. Just because something was justified doesn't mean it couldn't have been done better. Not to say rain on that guy's parade and Monday morning quarterback that guy when there's something that was justified and say, oh, you should have did this better. I'm not saying that. That particular person was in that moment, had to make a split-second decision. But now we have the luxury of watching that split-second decision again later and again and again and again. Why would we not try to say, hey, what if that happened to me? What would I do? Could I have done something different? Or is that all he could have done? Even more so. Push it even more so over beyond that. Put your guys in those scenarios and see if something can change. Live scenarios, force on force. How can we make this better? Make the guy, do different things. Make that guy do different things. And make your guys make decisions over and over again. I just watched a snippet, probably 30 minutes, of a Joe Rogan podcast with Jocko Willings, and it was is eye opening. Okay, Jocko has an incredible understanding of how law enforcement works. I'm assuming he's done lots of ride-alongs, and a very good concept of how to make law enforcement better, which myself and a lot of others in the law enforcement community on social media have been talking about for a long time. I don't know if there's a disconnect between leadership and the bottom line on how to get some of this accomplished. Things can change. Things should change. More training should be implemented. It always should be implemented. But where do you find that money? I mean, they're saying defund the police, and we already don't have enough money for pay and training as it is. 2 to 4 hours of training is not enough in a year to keep cops trained. Until things change in that regard, where you can get more training, hey, listen, you got to go get training on your own. Whether you go train with Fieldcraft, Risen Warrior Syndicate, Carry Trainer, Real World Tactical, I don't care who it is. There's tons of them. You can follow my page on Instagram, and I follow all of them, and I share their pages often. But get training whenever you can. You can't leave it on the agency. It should be partially their responsibility, but if they don't have the funds and they don't have the time, and they're squeezed by different things to get things done, it's up to you. You got to do it. So, hey, have a blessed day. Make sure you stay safe. Make sure you stay legal. Always do the right thing. And I love you guys. See you later.